What's going on, everybody, and welcome to another episode of 5 on It, a show where we do two things: smoke doobies, review movies. As always, we are your hosts. I am Francisco. He is Sir Fraser. And on today's episode, we are reviewing the 1995 Pixar classic, Toy Story.
You don't want to be in the way when my laser goes off.
Yes, sir. But before we dive right in, Cisco, my man, what you smoking on?
You know, I'm always smoking on my pen, but today, instead of the Gushers, we are smoking on the strong indica called Yoda OG. It is a 98% indica.
He'll be baked soon, folks.
By Crystal Clear. So if you see Crystal Clear, if you see those cartridges, they are always usually on points. I've gotten tons of them, and I think only one has gone south on me. Like for some reason, it just wasn't working. But you know, you take it back to the dispensary, and you get a new one, and wham bam, thank you, ma'am, you are right back on the road. So we are smoking on the Yoda OG. What you smoking on over there?
I'm smoking on Caribbean Breeze. I'm also hitting my pen tonight. It's a nice hybrid. You know, I kind of switching up, you know, usually go for the indicas, but sometimes they get me a little sleepy. So I had to, you know, switch it up a little bit. And yeah, I'm back to the hybrids. Caribbean Breeze, though. It's smooth hit. Smooth hit for sure.
Nice.
Man, well, let's go ahead and just dive right into it. So as was mentioned, this movie, flirting with 30 years old, came out in 1995. And, you know, just to give you guys some context, so we decided to review this movie because we had done several different genres. You know, we did the spaghetti western with Django Unchained. We did Leon the Professional, kind of more of a crime drama. We even did like some old school horror, so-called horror with Rosemary's Baby.
Yeah, we're early on in our stages right now, so we're trying to touch bases on a little bit of everything right now.
Yeah, and you know, we decided to do a animated movie. And, you know, honestly, I couldn't think of a better place to start. I mean, this movie is kind of credited with launching the Pixar into orbit. And I would say, and I think you and me would both agree, and this really kind of jumping ahead to the legacy side of things, I think that this franchise gives any franchise out there a run for its money in terms of both popularity with the audience and as well as critics. 1 through 4, and they're not done yet. They still building.
Shit, I mean, like you can throw in financially as well, because I'm pretty sure if we go into the minutiae of how much money they've made, I'm easily the hundreds of millions of dollars the franchise has made. So when you talk about whether it's like critically, commercially, the fans love it. Everybody loves it, like all ages. Mm-hmm. Not too many franchises can say that. So
no, live action or animation wise. I mean, most of them have you know, slip up here and there. But yeah, even my least favorite of the movies, Toy Story 2, is still a damn good movie.
Yeah, it took me a while to finally watch Toy Story 2 for some reason. I went from watching Toy Story, then went straight to Toy Story 3, then 4, then I went back to 2. I don't know why. For some reason, Toy Story 2 just kind of, I was very standoffish on it. Yeah. But then you end up watching it, excuse me, and then you're just like, God damn, this one is just as good as all the other ones. So, but one, I mean, I don't want to sidetrack, so I'm not even going to bring it up. I was going to bring up Harry Potter. Because, I mean, that's just a franchise I'll think of, like, right off the bat where all, like, 1 through, I mean, I guess 1 through 7 or 1 through 8, they're all pretty damn good. They're pretty much loved by all ages, like kids and adults love them. It's made a lot of money. They're well received. So like that will definitely can go head to head with a Toy Story. But Toy Story, I mean 1 through 4, it's hard to come up with any misses, and they get better. Like as far as like the animation wise, just like they look even more realistic as they progress.
No, I completely agree with you there. It's kind of cool to do a side by side and just see the evolution of just the CGI over the. I mean, now we're spanning decades. I mean, number 2, this was 95. I think number 2 came out. What was it? 99? I don't think it was. Yeah, 99, and then Toy Story 3 doesn't come out until. Like over 10 years after that?
Yeah, 2010.
Yeah,
so, like they took a little bit of a break in between those, but and then you know obviously like people was talking a lot of stuff. I mean I'm pretty sure I probably said the same thing. even after the first one.
Mm-hmm.
Like, why are you doing a second one? You don't need to do a second one. Even after watching this first one, it does end off. They all end on like a well note. Like they tie up everything that you need. They button everything up.
Agreed.
So like even after the first one, you're like, why are you doing a second one? Then after the second one, why are you doing the third one? After the third one, why are you doing a fourth one? And now I'm pretty sure.
Deja vu.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they're on like their fifth one by now.
This will be their fifth one. I think it's dropping. I've heard something saying 2026 around there, 2025, 2026.
That sounds more accurate, at least 2026, because I'm pretty sure like 2025 seems a little too early because we would have heard something by now. So 2026 seems a little bit more likely. I mean, we can do a quick little search.
June 19th, 2026. That's the projected release date.
And so everybody's always saying that until they steer you wrong. Honestly, they can keep pumping these damn movies out. I'm still gonna go watch them.
Oh yeah.
But one quick note, you mentioned that like it is like I mean the first Toy Story is like a pioneer movie in like at least two ways. It is the first feature film by Pixar, so like it definitely jump started that company, and it was started up by Steve Jobs, who was like that was like a little side project, which is like that's like one of the most ultra best side projects you could probably ever have. It's like starting up a Pixar company into like the juggernaut that it is today.
And this really is their. I mean, I feel like I can say this without hesitation. I think the Toy Story franchise is the crown jewel of Pixar. I think when I think about their legacy, that's what I think of. That's not to say that there aren't other movies that can rival the best of Toy Story. I think, for example, Up probably is up there for me. And I'll also say, and maybe the audience won't agree with this. I don't know if you'll agree with this. I'm curious, but for me, WALL-E is one of my favorite Pixar movies. It's a really endearing story. I was tearing up. I was like, God damn, we
might have to add that to the list.
This is so good.
But it's still like, I mean, it's pretty relevant to even like today with like pollution,
climate change,
like
and climate destruction. Yeah. Well, I know we've been dancing around a little bit, so let's just go ahead and get in. So just the synopsis for those who haven't seen Toy Story. If you haven't, stop this podcast immediately. Go and watch it.
All of our episodes, you better
there will be spoilers
because we are chiefing on a lot of ganja while we're watching the movie and while we're recording. So we can't hold back.
Yes.
So just come back, watch the movie, and then come get it.
So this movie is about two rival toys navigating the perils of the outside world and a sadistic neighbor to reunite with their owner Andy and fellow toys before the big move. Do you feel like that does it justice? You know?
Yeah, I mean, pretty much.
The brass tacks, you know.
It's just about like obviously. I mean, you can mention that like the toys are like the people don't realize that they're alive yet.
Oh yeah,
until like that is going to be a revelation into the movie for at least one unsuspecting person. But,
very true.
Yeah, I mean, Woody is just like a toy that he's just leading his gang of Andy's
fellow toys. Yeah,
Andy is his owner, and everything is just kind of going just pretty much as business as usual. Actually, Andy's having a birthday party, and so they're all like kind of like getting amped up because there's a birthday party going, there's a move happening. There's a
lot happening in flux, and you know something that. Sorry to cut you off.
Oh no, you're good. Go for it.
Something that this movie establishes very early on, along with just the world building of the toys and what they do when people aren't around, is the fear of abandonment. Yeah. Right. This theme is essential to this story because this is what's driving the anxiety around the other toys who are essentially going on a recon mission to spy on the party to find out what kind of toys, because they're all from the toys' perspective, the worst thing in the world is to no longer be desired by your owner, by the kid, right?
And to be forgotten, like
to be forgotten.
Come up with that buddy system.
Yeah, that's a great detail. Yeah. So just to back up for a quick second, it was really interesting reading up on this movie. So this movie stars Tom Hanks as Woody, Tim Allen as Buzz Lightyear, and Don Rickles as Mr. Potato Head, and that's just the tip of the iceberg.
I know you're just scratching the surface.
Yeah,
there's started on Jim Varney and the Ernest movies.
Oh yeah,
but we're taking a hard left.
Yeah, there's a lot of great actors, voice actors on this project. But so just a side note, so Paul Newman and Robin Williams were considered for the role of Woody as well. And one of the sources that I came up on reported that Newman and Jim Carrey were the first choices for Woody and Buzz, respectively.
Really?
Yeah. And I thought that was like a really kind of interesting. Paul Newman, I mean, that's kind of like an interesting kind of background. So it was also Billy Crystal was somebody who was approached for the role of Buzz, and he passed on that role. And that's like something I think he's kind of been like, why the hell did I do that? But he redeemed himself because he came back for the Monsters Inc. franchise. Yeah. So he really learned from his ways. He learns from his mistakes.
Well, you said Jim Carrey and who else was?
Jim Carrey and Paul Newman were initially considered for. So Carrey for Buzz Lightyear, Newman for Woody, which kind of makes sense, right? Because Paul Newman is known for some of the westerns, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
And the Clint Eastwood also thing wasn't surprising, but and I'm glad they ultimately went with Tom Hanks because he was able to balance the humor.
Yeah,
and
honestly, you can never. I mean, I'm just surprised that Tom Hanks is even kind of like a second option because like he's coming off of Philadelphia and Forrest Gump. He's coming off of
Philadelphia
back-to-back Oscar wins, and it's just like, damn. But you're not gonna. That Paul Newman is not like a bad suggestion or anything like that.
Oh no.
But to think of like Tom Hanks, especially at that point in his career, is like, damn, him as a second option, but. I'm kind of glad in the direction that they went because he definitely brings that character to life. Because
100%.
I wore the fucking shit out of that VHS tape when I was about 7 years old when this movie came out. And I had the old school like Disney like the VHS. I'm not sure how old the audience is listening to this. VHS is an old way to watch movies. But
you had to be there.
This like you had like the
Be Kind Rewind days.
Yeah, pretty much. You had to sit there and actually rewind and fast forward that motherfucker. But those old VHS like holders where like you kind of open it up like a book.
Yeah.
And oh man, we have like Aladdin and Jungle Book,
Lion King,
101
Dalmatians.
Oh man,
those were collector items, man.
But Toy Story was just like I said, like it was just a game changer. It was just like a step up in like the animation department.
True.
So like watching that movie is like, I don't know. It's almost like watching like The Matrix in the way for like that in that department because like it was just like seeing how like how far just like when you watch Aladdin or Lion King and then you watch a Toy Story being that young. It was just like
it was so unlike anything we'd seen.
Yeah. Like I've just never seen anything like that before. And even just like I said, watching The Matrix at the time, you're just like, whoa, this is different. And so even like when I was watching it a couple of weeks ago, and my girl's daughter was like watching over my shoulder, and they were doing like the bullet time stuff, like when Neo's on on the roof and he's like dodging the bullets, that's when she's like, "Whoa!" And it's like, "Oh shit!" It still has that impact on like the young audience.
Yeah, it was trippy. But I mean, to your point though about just the stature of this movie at that time, I mean, it received multiple Academy Award nominations, including Best Original Screenplay and I believe it was Best Original Score.
Randy Newman.
Yeah, man.
At least with two bangers, even to this day.
Best original, yeah.
I mean, You Got a Friend in Me and
Best original song as well.
Yeah, and was it Sail Away? Dang.
Yeah, and the director Lasseter, he actually earned a Special Achievement Academy Award for the first feature-length computer animated film. To your point, I mean, this movie was a watershed moment. It was really cool to also read up on like the kind of history. So the concept was initially kind of blossomed from the Tin Toy short film that he had been at the helm of in 1988. And then, from there, they built out this whole world of Toy Story. And I mean, it's rightfully so considered to be one of the greatest cartoon or animation movies ever.
To think of like where like especially like you started off at this short story and like it's just blossomed into like this just monster that it is now. I mean, it's kind of crazy to think about, and we're coming on the 5th one, so
yeah,
I'm just excited to see where they go with the story. But
well, speaking of story, man, the plot point, right, where we get the big reveal, like, it's got me.
Something's got a hold of him.
I think that the first 5 minutes or so, you're doing a really great job of world building, right? You're kind of understanding their anxieties as toys with the upcoming birthday party. You see the role of Woody as kind of the leader of these toys and trying to kind of manage and prepare for the big move while also juggling the birthday that's happening at sooner than later. And then boom, here comes the big reveal, the new shiny toy. That is Buzz Lightyear, played by Tim Allen.
A nice introduction also to all the side characters.
Rex.
Oh my God, Rex, who's one
the
of my
neurotic
favorite.
dinosaur.
What do you mean the party's today? His birthday's not till next week. And he gets another dinosaur, a mean one. I just don't think I can take that kind of rejection.
My God, and Jim Varney as Slink. Who does? I can't remember the name is getting away from me. That does the pig. Then you've got
Ham.
Mr. Potato Head.
Yeah.
God, so you're
Bo
getting
Peep.
Bo Peep, but Bo Peep is a little two-timing hoe.
She a little thotty.
She,
Porcelain thotty.
Because as soon as, you get a nice introduction and also a nice little Arlie. What's his name? I want to get his name right real quick. Ernie. He does the voice of the military.
Yeah. Arlie Ernie, the sergeant.
Yeah, because
He's typecasted. Damn, if he isn't, right?
Dude. And I think this was obviously this is after he just did a Full Metal Jacket. Not just did, but he was in Full Metal Jacket. And he's a real life, he was in the military. And so getting his voice is just a nice little tip of the hat if especially his career.
100%.
His character in Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Jeez Louise.
Yeah.
But Buzz Lightyear shows up because, the party goes off. They send the troops down to kind of see where what Andy's getting for his birthday. Mm-hmm. And everything's kind of going good. They're packing it up, but then the mama brings out a surprise gift, and every kid loves when mom brings out a surprise gift, and it is a Buzz Lightyear. And I like the way they shoot it too.
Yes,
it's just it's very vague. You see the look of the military soldier's face, Arlie Ernie's face, not his his face.
Yeah,
but it's almost just it's this larger than life type deal. And the radio starts going out. Everything
the batteries fall out. They gotta
fucking it's all because of Rex too.
My arms are too short.
This movie is still pretty damn funny too.
Well, even the scene leading up to that, remember where they're watching through the little binocular toy, the kids walking in, like, oh, there's a small gift, and he turns, it's a huge box. Yeah, and they're like, ah. Yo, Rex is one of the funniest characters, dude. Low key, him and Mr. Potato Head get me every time. Yeah. But you know what's cool? Kind of leading up to that scene is they kind of they're already dropping hints of the tension that's going to come, right? Because Mr. Potato Head said something to the fact to Woody. He's like, oh, of course you're not worried. You're Andy's favorite toy. Yeah. Right? And then, circling back to that theme we talked about fears of abandonment, that comes to the forefront and becomes the source of tension between Buzz, unknowingly between Buzz, right? Mm-hmm. And Woody. And boy, when we meet Buzz, this deluded toy, he is hilarious.
Seems to be no sign of intelligent life anywhere.
Hello?
Oh, yeah. Ah! Whoa! Hey, whoa. Did I frighten you? Didn't mean to. Sorry. Howdy. My name is Woody, and this is Andy's room. That's all I wanted to say. And also, there has been a bit of a mix-up. This is my spot. See, the bed here.
Local law enforcement. It's about time you got here. I'm Buzz Lightyear, Space Ranger, Universe Protection Unit.
Yeah. Well, you get the little. Notice that if Andy writes his name under your under his boot, that you're obviously his favorite.
Yeah.
And so that's a little something that you can kind of notice throughout this movie and throughout the series as well. Mm-hmm. But when Buzz shows up, it's almost like when they say I wasn't born last night. Mm-hmm. It's like this dude was born last night.
Yeah.
because he literally thinks he's a space ranger landing off of like a weird planet.
Trying to get a hold of Star Command.
Yeah, but then he pops in. Like I said, like the way they shoot it, they zoom in on on his legs, and they kind of pan up and everything, and he's just
The sun beaming on
yeah,
him.
exactly. He's just like this larger than life kind of figure, but just like hello, and he's just like watch out, and he whips out the fucking laser beam. Oh my god!
You want to be in the way, my laser goes off. Yo, he's such a great character too, and it's so great rewatching this because you see like the kernels of what become like, you see the origins of what will become like a really memorable friendship that gets explored in different contexts and across like in front of a lot of different adversity over the course of these 4 movies. But when they start off, it's really Woody's antagonistic because he's possessive of Andy.
Yeah.
And he doesn't want to lose his spot. And it's really cool because you have this shift, right? You see times lapsing and you see the cowboy decor in Andy's room, everything from the pictures to the sheets get revamped with Buzz Lightyear, space, memorabilia, and things like that, posters on the wall. So I thought that the way that they kind of visually tell that story in just just a few, in like literally like seconds, was also very revealing.
Well, that's why
Ineffective.
that's why Woody is like being like the hater that he was at the beginning, because he was like he felt threatened right off the get go, and so he was already trying to like doubt him. And that even gets me to like even Bo Peep, because he was talking about like you can't fly. And so that's what's led to like the big little showing of Buzz trying to fly, which it just goes
so good.
It just something miraculously happens. You gotta just watch it. But he ends up appearing to fly. And even after he does that, everybody's like, oh,
whoa,
damn,
they're like
shit.
shoving Woody out of the way.
Yeah, but then you hear Bo Peep and she's like, oh,
I found my moving buddy.
And that was salt in the wound.
Yeah, like you little fucking hussy. Like
Yeah.
you switched up on Woody real quick.
Man.
But then after they, like you said, they do the montage and all that type of stuff.
Yeah. That wasn't
leads to-
flying, that was falling with style.
Yeah. But he's like, he opens up his eyes like, can. But after the montage and all that, that's just like kind of what leads you to like what Woody's actions are going to lead to pretty much.
Yeah.
You
see where his jealousy takes him.
Yeah. And obviously he didn't mean for him to fly out the window, but he obviously wanted him to, get the picture that he's not wanted in this room.
I just remember later in the movie where Rex is like, murderer! It's so good. Oh man. But going back to this movie and the plot, man, so Woody gets himself up shit creek.
But a child's plaything.
Well, I think like, when I hear, I think that, tell me what you think about this. I think like the test of both of those characters is helping them to be accepting of reality, right? Because Buzz doesn't realize what he is. And Woody tries to help him over the course of that movie and kind of accept that.
Yeah.
And I think similarly with Woody, I think his jealousy, right? I think he kind of helps him see things for what it is. And I think in doing that, he discovers a friendship with Buzz, which I think really becomes like the heart of this franchise, their friendship.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
Well, like I think that you really start to see that once they end up at Sid's house.
Yeah, that fucking
because that
psycho
really
kid.
shows like that like, because like Buzz doesn't really like truly accept it.
No.
Until like, well, first of all, quickly. They end up in like they go to Pizza World, and goddamn, when I watched that when I was a kid, I wanted to go to a fucking pizza place
For real,
like
right?
that.
It's like Chuck E. Cheese, but like
but
the
now
pizzas
like
and
you see it
rockets.
now, you're like, man, this place is kind of weak as shit. Like they just had like a couple like they pretty much had like a whack-a-mole and a fucking little not an arcade, but
the claw.
yeah,
claw game.
And then like you tell me Sid goes up to this fucking claw machine. This was like a little quick negative. There's going to be pretty much no negatives honestly on this movie. It's very positive based. But one little negative, a little jab I'll throw at him is Sid walks up to the claw machine and he gets an alien right off the rip. Motherfucker, you ain't getting that motherfucker off the rip. And then you see a Buzz Lightyear tucked in that shit, and you get that motherfucker. No, fuck that. That was a little unrealistic. Come on, Pixar.
Well, you know what's funny in that scene? Like, was you see like this kind of another self-contained world for these toys, these prize toys, the aliens. And they're all like have this cult where the claw from above it chooses the worthy, and like it moves, right.
Just the way they
like,
shoot those scenes too, like it's so like it's shot
claustrophobic
so well.
as fuck too.
Yeah, and it's like has that aerial, not aerial view, but just like they shoot it from the bottom of just like with the claw moving and everything.
That's a really good scene.
It makes
too.
it look all mystical and everything with the light coming in.
Yeah.
But
he has been chosen.
Like, even them, they were fucking lost. I mean, there are some fucking little alien creatures, but like he's been chosen, holding them back and shit.
Yeah, because when Woody's trying to prevent him because he sees Sid. So just to circle back, earlier in the movie we see Sid, who is this disturbed young boy who essentially tortures toys, and for these toys, it's a death sentence going into that house. I mean, you don't leave in peace; you leave in pieces.
Which
remember he like blows up the shoulder with the firecrackers.
Yeah, which also like when you see Sid like off the rip, but then you go into the house and you see the sister, and you're like, okay, the sister's normal, and then you just hear like the parents' voice, and you're like, man, where are the parents? Like, where the you let this boy out here just blowing up fucking toys and
y'all
shit?
don't hear this?
I know y'all hear this. You don't see this boy? Like, look at him.
What are we doing?
These
are illegal fireworks.
This kid
I know you hear them.
One of them leashes.
Yo,
like,
for real.
He needs to be that's an inmate that needs to be locked up.
The doll with like the spider legs, the metallic spider legs. I remember as a kid, I was like, "Yo, this is kind of creepy."
Dude, honestly, the one that used to creep me the fuck out was the one with the legs and the fishing pole.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know why, but that shit always creeped me the fuck out too.
It's so odd. The
Even
duck
still today, it's just like it's still weird looking.
Yeah,
but they're just like. I guess there was like a note. I did look up a couple like little fun facts about Toy Story because I mean I've seen this movie 1,000 times, but I was like, what's some things about it that I don't even know? But I guess they said Pixar wanted to make like Sid's toys, like actually make the toys, and so. But they're like, no, these toys are gonna scare the kids a little. Too much.
That's accurate. I think so.
Yeah, but a little bit back to the movie though. Woody like finally gets Buzz away from like his sister. I can't really remember right now off the top of my head of like how he gets her back. But that's when like he ends up like seeing the guys across the way.
Yeah, after his arm has come off.
His arm is like falling off, but like no, he actually his arm was it falling off?
Remember because his arm?
I know he pops it back off because he's like, Buzz, come over here and give me a hand.
Oh yeah, give me a hand.
He just throws it at him.
Would you get over here?
He's like, coming to infinity, everyone. Like the whole scene is just like that's what the Mr. Potato Head is like. What are you trying to pull?
Not so fast. Yeah, when they're trying to throw the rope over to him. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was. I mean, and that's where they turn his back. They turn their back on him again, and he ends up getting Buzz to kind of come to his senses, and kind of like this is at that point. Yeah, the curtain has been pulled back, and Buzz sees the world for what it is. Mm-hmm. And they kind of plot with the toys because the plan, right, is that Sid is gonna fasten this rocket, literally duct tape this rocket to the back of Buzz and shoot him up and boom, blow him up. And
will they get like real friendly with the with Sid's toys?
Yeah.
Because at first, like they kind of get cornered, but then you realize like,
they're helping Buzz.
Yeah, they're helping Buzz because at the end of the day, they're still toys. They got like
some camaraderie.
They're riding for one another. It's like we know we may look fucked up, but we're still here to help you out because if you guys can get out, maybe that's a win for us. Mm-hmm. But they finally get like real friendly with Sid's toys. And they come up with the plan, and that's like even like that plan
is great.
Like it's well shot and everything, whatever you say, well shot, well animated, but like because it's so. I mean, I'm guessing that is it's a shout out to The Exorcist when Woody is pretty much
When his
talking
head
to Sid, and he's like,
rotates.
"We see everything."
Because let me say this. That's a really good scene because we kind of see the camaraderie of the toys. We see the effect that this has on Sid, and he like literally loses his shit, and who wouldn't, right? But something I wanted to say about this movie, and this maybe kind of also kind of speaks to just its uniqueness. But before this movie, many of the movies that depicted toys or dolls usually represented them as a menacing thing or a possessed thing, right? Whether it's Annabelle, Child's Play, of course, the Puppet Master, those earlier ones before Toy Story come to mind. And I think this movie kind of represents like a shift in that kind of representation, as them being more like not bad, not possessed, but actually like
More in a good light.
more in a positive light, right?
Yeah.
What do you think about that? Does that kind of ring true to you?
I mean, yeah, I could definitely see that. Well, especially like the time it's like coming out, like I said, like with like some like other movies that have put it more into a negative light. I mean, even now, I mean, I guess you can, whether it's the Child's Play series that came out then, even like the Megan series, that's not the series, but the Megan movie right now.
Yeah.
Usually dolls, I guess, are more shown into a more negative, like a horror type of light.
Yeah, the only other example I can think of that comes to mind is, but again, this was after Toy Story, Small Soldiers with Tommy Lee Jones. You remember that one?
That's a nice one.
That movie kind of was more aligned with Toy Story, right? Where they're not all bad, but still, like there was like a malevolent toy,
Yeah.
right? Or the soldiers with the bad toys.
Yeah, we need some sort of like foil, some sort of antagonist.
Yeah, but that definitely stood out when I think about this movie. Just its legacy, right? And just kind of what kind of differentiates it from toy movies, right? Or doll movies.
I never really thought about that, but like now that I'm thinking about it, yeah, like because I mean, especially like when you think of like a lot of people are afraid of like whether it's clowns and it, or a lot of people are afraid of like dolls or just find them like creepy in a way. So yeah, I mean, this is a movie that will show like toys or dolls, whatever you want to call it, like in more of a positive light.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I could definitely see that. Anyways, what were you saying?
I was gonna say like just can you think of any? I mean, I've already kind of mentioned that like obviously this is. I mean, who doesn't like Toy Story? I mean, it's like on Rotten Tomatoes, it's sitting at 100% critically. 92% of fans like it. So every 9 out of 10 people like it. Oh man, even then it's like, who's that one person that really doesn't like Toy Story? It's like you have to, I guess, really be watching it, unless you're watching it with such a critical eye on the animation, because I mean, if you're grading it at like when the time came out, I mean, it's outstanding. If you're trying to grade it on like today's curve, it's like, yeah, of course it doesn't like hold up to like now, because like when you go back, even I'd watched Toy Story 4. Like I don't really watch it. I just kind of wanted to start it just to see like the difference. And like, yeah, like you can definitely see they have come a long way, because like it starts off with like a rain scene, and you're just seeing like all the reflections and just like the water, and you're like, damn, this shit looks good. You're like, holy fuck.
Yeah.
But honestly,
and we expect that, to be honest. I mean, as technology evolves and animation evolves with it, I think there is an expectation. Like, I don't expect to see the same level of quality that you're showing me 20 years ago. If that's the case, then why are you hired?
Yeah,
You're supposed to be like kind of pushing it forward and innovative, which is what this franchise has done.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't want to like sit here and say like, oh, the person who didn't like it is wrong, because I mean, this is an art style, and to each their own. But I don't know. There's like everything was pretty on point for me with this movie, and like with the themes of abandonment or accepting of who you are, even friendship. You can gather a bunch of different things, but are there any sort of like? I mean, obviously, I did a little jab with the Claw World, because we all know that's some bullshit. You ain't going to Claw. I call it Claw World, but you ain't going to that claw machine, and you're not walking up to that motherfucker 2 times and coming up with 2 things. But Are there any negatives that you can?
You know, having seen all the movies, I've probably seen the fourth one the least. I like that one though. I really like that one, but I probably have seen this one and the third one the most. I think that one of the things that those movies have is that the main characters are already established, and so with this, there's a bit of world building that takes place, and that is, while very entertaining, it can be a little slow at first.
Yeah.
But to be fair, that's often a knock that I have of many movies that are a part of like a series. You know, I'm trying to think. Captain America 1, right? Captain America 1 is a good movie, but there's a lot of world building, a lot of character building, a lot of introductions, right, that are made that doesn't allow it to surpass Civil War or Winter Soldier for me. So I think that's if I'm nitpicking. That, to be fair, that's just if I'm nitpicking. I think that this movie is an excellent movie. I think that this franchise to me, and I think this movie specifically, just to keep it focused here, I think represents a successful marriage of great storytelling and excellent CGI.
Yeah.
I think that, as I said earlier, this is the crown jewel. This franchise is the crown jewel for me as far as Pixar goes. And it's rightfully, it's rightfully considered one of the greatest animation movies ever made.
And wasn't this movie, I could be wrong, wasn't this nominated? Like one of the rare animated movies that was nominated for Best Picture at the Oscars too?
The first one?
Toy Story, yeah. I want to say like this and Lion King?
Lion King
was nominated for Best Picture?
I'm not sure though. I'm not sure. I know that it was selected for the U.S. National Film Registry just because of its cultural and historical significance.
Okay, yeah. It wasn't nominated. Just original screenplay and original musical.
Yeah.
Maybe it should have been, though. It could be up there.
I mean, yeah. I could definitely see that. I'd be curious to see what was also nominated that year.
God, and I mean, this movie is just like really nostalgic too. I had a Buzz Lightyear. I had a Rex. I had a little Rex piggy bank growing up. Mm-hmm. This movie hits pretty much all the notes. I might another thing I'm looking at. This movie just flew by. I think I kind of watched it a few different times leading up to it, but it's only an hour and 20. You sit down, you watch it. Next thing you know, you're already at Sid's house, and once you're at Sid's house, you're damn near at the end of the movie.
Yeah,
the movie just flew by for me. I might be leading into a very high score.
Yeah, bro.
I won't say it now. I'll save it.
I'm with you on that.
But it's going to be getting a very high score from me.
I think that the ending scene too, where the toys are chasing Woody and Buzz are chasing.
Yeah. They obviously they had a story to tell, but they also wanted to show that the leaps that they have come in animation, and so. When you have more groundbreaking like work, I think that's also when you maybe want to show it off a bit. Yeah. So like, so even like with like Toy Story 5 coming out, maybe they have like some different tricks that we watch it and you're like, I mean, granted, like, I mean, I don't know how much better you can make it at this point, but you never know. They obviously probably have a good story to tell, and maybe they have some more groundbreaking animation that they want to share to the world.
No, you're right about that. I mean. And just going back to what we were saying about the just the time of length. I mean, Toy Story 3 was 2010. That was a 9-year gap. Toy Story 4 was 2019. So this is a relatively, I mean, not as long as a gap as some of the gaps between some of the other movies. But yeah, I definitely wanted to call that out. Let's think about score, man. What are you feeling?
Oh man, for
what
my
you thinking?
Score, I haven't. This show is called 5 on it, and I have not given out a 5-star yet. I believe you have, haven't you?
Yeah, I gave Jaws a 5.
Jaws a 5?
For good reason.
I mean, I did. It was fine.
Boo this man!
My score was higher on that just because I can't hate
Legacy.
on it. It is well made. I mean, it's Steven Spielberg. But with Toy Story, I think this one is getting my first 5-star. This movie is, I've already mentioned, it's super nostalgic for me. I saw this when I was about 7 years old, wore out that fucking tape. The VHS. Wore that fucking thing out. But it still holds up. The animation, in the background, it looks a little video gamey, you can say, especially because now like the animation style has like come a long way. So, but they've enhanced it enough where like this movie is still great. The story is great. You don't really even need 2, 3, and 4 if you don't want to, but those are
you
wonderful.
do yourself a
to
disservice.
add. Yeah, because like they just enhance on the story, make it more like there's just more themes, more something to touch on. So.
Yeah.
The Toy Story 1 will get the 5-star from me.
I ain't mad at that at all.
What about you, man?
Man, this is tough, man, because I everything you just said resonates with me. Hell, I remember having the Sega game, which was hard as shit back in the day. But
I vaguely remember.
yeah,
that.
they had a Genesis game back in the day. I'm leaning towards a 4.5. The reason I'm,
Burn this man.
well, you know what? The thing is, like, if I'm as important as this movie is and as great as this movie is, and the impact of this movie, no doubt, it is not my favorite of the franchise. I would say Toy Story 3 is my favorite.
I can't hate against that.
And that's the one that I would give a 5 of this. But if you haven't seen this movie, absolutely see it. If you haven't seen this whole franchise, absolutely see it. I think this movie strikes a lot of notes for adults as well as like seeing it with kids. So it's it wins over a lot of people. But I'm definitely feeling a 4.5. I think the legacy of this movie is just warranted. I think the praise of this movie and the franchise that it launched is warranted. Yeah, man, see this movie. Revisit this movie if you have seen it.
Man, honestly, if you haven't even seen any of the Toy Stories, it's like, goddamn, maybe you just don't like animation, but this is, even if you don't like animation, this is on the part of the short list that I would firmly recommend any of the Toy Stories.
Yeah, if you haven't seen this movie,
recommend.
You either been living under a rock or been smoking rock. I don't know what to say.
But I would say the third one too, like what you said, you would give it a 5-star. Just real quick, is the ending on the Toy Story 3. I think is a bit better because it definitely hits. I mean, maybe because it is based off of the foundation that Toy Story 1 was built on, and 2, I should say.
Yeah.
But the antagonist with like the purple bear, wasn't that John Newman? The voice of him? I think it was John Newman.
Was that John Newman?
But the bear was definitely a great character. The ending of that movie, because you think it's going to be the end of the characters, the ones that you've been following from 95.
Lotso. Ned Beatty. Wasn't it Lotso? The bear.
That's his name?
Yeah.
Who was the voice?
Ned Beatty.
Ned Beatty. God, who was? Has a John Newman flavor to him. But yeah, I can't hate against that. Toy Story 3 is another banger.
I did love Michael Keaton as Ken was pretty damn great too.
He was Ken?
Yeah, I know, right?
Damn. See, like Toy Story, I mean, you're gonna get a bunch of heavy hitters because it's a franchise it doesn't miss.
No,
it doesn't miss until it does. But
they don't miss.
I don't expect Toy Story to come with a miss.
No, I don't think we'll see that day.
Not at all.
But well, hey, folks, thank you for joining us for 5 on It. Those are our reviews. And stick around. We are going to be dropping another episode here soon. We're still deciding what we're going to drop, but we'll keep you posted.
Yes, sir.